So we're back. We are live from the Arival event in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. And today's segments are all sponsored by Resdi, presented by Resdi. And today, we're hanging out. What is your name? I've totally forgot. I just totally blanked. Oh my God.
It happens. It happens. Brad Weber. Brad Weber. Yep.
Tell that camera about yourself, Brad.
Yeah. Well, hey, been the CEO of Grayline Worldwide for going on 17 years. Been in the
17 years? Wait a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
That long?
I know. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Because it was the beginning, right? From the very beginning, right?
Okay,
Almost?
no.
Or was that, but tell me more about that. I'm just going to totally interrupt you. Cause
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. So, Grayline's a 100-year-old company. I haven't been there since the beginning, but I have been there for 17 years.
But Grayline as Grayline, or was
as
it
Grayline.
iterative?
No, as Grayline. It was incorporated the way it is today back in 1928.
So the same structure, basically.
Same corporate structure. Yeah. Nothing's changed since 1928. Obviously, the world's grown up around us, and we've changed a lot of things, but its company structure is the same.
And it's a pretty unique structure too, with kind of like citywide. You know, there's different elements, right? Explain that all to me, because I am sometimes confused, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's a very interesting structure. We are not a franchise, is what people think a lot. We're actually a global licensing organization where we license our trademark to independent local tourism businesses, so that they can run the business that they've grown up doing their entire life, or if it's a corporate entity, they can do that as well. Then we layer Grayline on top of it. They have rights to use our trademark, they have rights to use our technology and all of our business development programs, but they also retain the localness of their business.
So can they use other technologies if they want? It's kind of, you're suggesting, or is you need to kind of be in the
the great thing about our network is it's all driven by best practice, right? Yeah. It's leveraging the network effect. It's our best practices as an organization. We've learned a lot in the 100 years that we've been around. But yeah, so we do mandate certain technology for us to power our e-commerce platform. But as a local business, you're free to choose what works best for you, because it's very difficult to find a single solution that's going to work globally with different currencies, different languages, different markets, different business needs. The profiles of our independent businesses are a little different depending on where they might be. So it's you can't find a single solution that works for everybody.
And it's the commerce part is the most important, in the sense of that makes the most sense to keep
100%.
going, because you also want to deal with the distribution and the advantages of that, right? Because
you
have
absolutely.
the name recognition and all that.
Brand is everything.
Yeah, it really is. And you guys are known. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So walk me through that when it comes to. So I used to live in New Orleans, and I did actually a Yelp video way back in the day for Grayline New Orleans, which is really funny. But if I'm in that rubric. And someone goes to the Grayline website, it's one view for the customer. They don't really necessarily know that they're going out to like a Grayline New Orleans. For all intents and purposes, we have one entity, right?
Absolutely.
As far as the consumer is concerned.
That's what the consumers have known since we've been founded. I mean, we literally invented the category of sightseeing back in 1910. So what we tell our guys is, you're in a unique position. You are the inventor of this business. You have a responsibility to reinvent it every day. Because customers' expectations change, what people want to see and do has changed, but the core values of who we are and what we do, those have been the same.
Always the same.
Always the same.
And it is interesting that it kind of grew up around you guys. So Grayline has been waiting 100 years for a Arival event to happen.
It's finally here.
You guys are like, we're done. We did it.
Tours
There's now a conference for us.
Yeah, and we hold our own conference every year. We think we do a really good job, but it's really fun to see kind of the whole industry come together. I mean, it's time. It's due. Our industry deserves this. We are the reason people travel. Our business is at the heart of why people travel. So to see, getting the recognition and people paying attention, technology coming into the space like it never has before, it's time. It's time.
And for you changing, you said it kind of grew up around you and been around for a while, bus tours, things like that, but we're beyond kind of that happening, right? Like there are bus tours, but now there's, gourmet chef nights and all these kind of things happening. So how do you guys kind of...
Yeah, this is the big conversation, right?
Yeah, because this is what I want to get into.
This is the big conversation in the space. And, I think the concept of this bus tours being something that's not great is so wrong.
This is good, because I just said earlier that that I didn't want to go on a bus tour, so let's do this.
Let's absolutely. Let's do
Give
this.
It to me,
let's absolutely do this. So, it's to me, and people talk to me all the time about, well, hey, peer-to-peer, that's where everything's going. Look what's happening with trips. It's the millennials. It's a different generation. They want different things, and it's not true. It's not true. The idea of being on a bus tour or a sightseeing tour is the absolute best way to see a destination. A couple reasons. Number one, you don't have to worry about it. Like, take it for example, you're in Paris and you want to go out to Versailles, right? If you want to do that on your own, there's a lot of things logistically that you need to do before you can actually get to Versailles and enjoy it. Or you can hang out with us, you'll meet a group of people from all over the world, so you have the opportunity to build instant community. There might be a couple from the US, a couple from New Orleans, there might be a group of guys from Spain, there may be an elderly couple from the UK, maybe a few folks from Beijing, and you have an opportunity to see and experience something new with people from all over the world. And that's really what I like about Greyline is, we say we're changing the world one tour at a time. So if we can do anything to bring people together, to make the world feel smaller, and to create less of an impact on the sites we're visiting, I think that's great. We bring one busload of people, we keep 50 cars from visiting that attraction.
And is that generally kind of what people, that's the choice they're making, right? Is like, should we rent a car, take a taxi, or do the bus tour? I mean, is that, for some of these like a Versailles or something, your only options really are those things, right?
I think people make a mistake and underestimate, how hard doing certain things are. Like you and I, we could leave Vegas right now, hop in a car and go out to the Grand Canyon. Right? And that sounds easy, but it's not the kind of experience you really want. You don't get to relax and watch a movie on the way there. You don't get to have refreshments. You can't have a beer while you're there because you don't want to drive back. And do you really know where to go when you get there? Do you really have the entrance figured out? Do you really know what the best places to see at the right times of the day? Or do you want to go with somebody that's an expert that's been doing it for years that can make that experience the best it can be?
It's a good pitch.
It's a good pitch.
I'm into it.
You should be into it.
But what I really want, and I really think the guides, right? I mean, we've kind of been talking throughout the day about the importance of not just the mode of transportation, but
is it a guide or is it the content?
Well, tell me about this. So is it the guide delivering content that's, the guide is boring or the content's boring? But let's talk about those two pieces, because someone mentioned, they don't want them just reading a script because that's, it's not quite interesting. But
it's 2017. Yeah. If I want to know anything about anything, all I have to do is reach in my pocket and I can find it. Right? What you can't find when you reach in your pocket for your phone is the story behind the place, or making it personal, or making it local. And that's the real cool thing about Greyline. When we do use our live guides, these are local people. They live there. They've built their life around tourism, most certainly sustainable tourism, because if they don't do it right, tourism goes away and their livelihood goes away. But they shop in the stores there. They send their kids to school there. They know the best roads. They know the best restaurants. These are people that are real locals that you get to spend your day with. So if we're delivering that content via a live guide, yes, we want all the pertinent facts for what you're going to see and what you're going to do, but we really want to get into that and behind it and talk about the story of the place. That Greyline and the guides, the people that are there, we're part of the local fabric of that community. But guides aren't the only way. And the thing that's important to anybody that's in this business is your content is your product. Our bus is not our product. Where we go is not the product. It's how we deliver that experience is the product.
That's great. It does rethink it, right? It's not just the mode of transportation.
It's the whole thing. It's a whole experience.
And it's interesting because you guys started off. I mean, there was always probably guides. I mean, I'm assuming, but back in early 1900s, like a bus that's crazy. Like the mode of transportation was actually probably part of the fun.
I think back then, just being on a bus was an attraction.
Right. That's what I mean. It's like you're on a roller coaster of some sort. You're like, this isn't a horse.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah. This is like, what is that noise?
Look at me.
Yeah. And that's why it's fascinating because now then you have VR and you have all these things that are starting to happen. That are just like new kinds of attractions. Like we were just in the promenade and there's a VR attractions guy, and it's like trying to like test it out. But eventually, like no one's going to want to go to a shop and try VR because we'll have it at home, But the content could matter. So his VR could be better, right?
Content's key.
That's what I mean, right?
Everybody's worried about the platform, how you deliver it. And what's the key is we're in the entertainment business. I mean, we're all entertainers. We want people to have an experience. We want them to enjoy a day or an hour or 3 days or a week, however long they're with us. But if our story and our content isn't any good, then people are going to go somewhere else. And so that's core to who we are, is making sure that our content is our product. And it's not our bus, and it's not our terminals, and it's not the people behind the scenes that are making it. They're essential, and without it you can't do it. But when you're in the middle of that experience, if we're not delivering good content, then we're not doing our job.
And the great thing about having that brand too that's globally known is that, as you deliver the great experience in one location, it does translate to another, because not every company can do that.
Yeah, but we're not cookie cutter. We never want to be, and that's why we like how we're organized. I want to make sure that if you're in Boston, you're going to have a unique Boston experience. If you end up in Bali, you're going to have a unique Balinese experience. But it's not going to be the same. But what ties them together is our global brand. So that the things that are probably important to you or should be important to you, that you're in the hands of somebody that has the right insurance, insurance and that's bonded and has the licenses and the permits, no matter where you are, you're with somebody that's had to go through some sort of process to know that you're safe.
Right.
Dealing with somebody reputable.
That's the first step, yeah.
Absolutely.
What about training? How does that work, across all the different areas, to make sure the guides are where they need to be, drivers?
Yeah, it's totally different. And you have to look at how we're organized, right? That's really a local decision of the local business. But one of the things we strive to do, and we do this at our conference, we do it throughout the year, we have a Gray Line University that we run, and literally what we're bringing to them is best practices. And we'll literally hold our events in cities where we have showcase locations. So if we have a location, we were recently in Iceland a year ago, we were in Miami this year, we want to take our own licensees to somewhere where another licensee is doing it 100% right. And it's amazing the power that has. You have a great experience with somebody that's affiliated with you through the brand, you take that home. You take that home and you integrate that into your business. So we do provide things where access to great training programs or access to great models or access to great content platforms, content creators to augment what they know, and what they know is what's local. They have the local expertise, but we can layer on top of that ways to make it more entertaining, ways to make it more engaging, ways to make your guides better. That's what we help them with. But it's not, there's no way I'm going to sit in Denver and say, this is what you have to be talking about in Paris.
Because what do you know, right? Then that's the whole point. That's why I think it's, the fragmentation. It's even, I wouldn't even like to use that word necessarily here, but it's like tours and activities has to be fragmented. Because that's the point. You can't be in London and do something, and VR notwithstanding, but that's a whole other thing. But it's a local thing. So there's always going to be thousands of suppliers. You can't.
Oh, 100%.
That's just it.
And I think that's great, right? I think that's great.
Otherwise, they would be boring, like you said. If everything was the same, then no one would go.
Yes.
How do you guys? You have some of the standards. Tours, right? Like I go to Versailles, these things we do. When you guys are kind of testing new approaches, new tours, like maybe smaller tours, how does that work? Is that really just up to the local entity, or do you try to encourage some testing of new routes?
Okay. Yeah, it's both. Okay, so back to how we're organized, I don't get involved with somebody in Munich or in New York City saying, well, you should go left here instead of going right. I don't have that expertise. But what it's all about is here we pay a lot of attention to changing consumer behavior. We hear a lot about millennials that they have different expectations than a Gen Xer like me or a baby boomer or a mature. So we pay a lot of attention. We give them that data, right? And we just came off our conference that happened 2 weeks ago. So we talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about, what do the changing demographics mean? What are the way people view different things are? We come about it from different angles. You come to our conference, and it's a conference of sightseeing companies, and we're talking about things like, what do you watch on TV? Mm-hmm. And who's creating that content? And why did you choose that show from that network? Or maybe it's not even a network that was there for 10 years ago, because they're doing a better job. So we try to leverage learning from other industries and bring it to us so that we are always at the top of our game in creating the best products, accommodating whether it needs to be a big tour, whether it needs to be more of a private tour, or whether it needs to be a single one-on-one walking tour. We offer all those. Gray Line is not just about the bus.
That's great, and then it really keeps them fresh too, right? Because everyone can move at a different pace. Maybe some cities need to try new tours all the time, and some can move slower, because it's just.
And some markets are easier than others, right? Some markets have natural attractions that everybody needs to go to.
Yep.
In others, you have to get more into the fabric of the community and go behind the scenes, because there's always stuff. I'm constantly saying to our team, if we can't find anything cool and unique about all of our destinations, then we're in the wrong destinations. Because I guarantee you, no matter where you go in the world, there's something really cool there that's just waiting to be experienced.
How do you guys market that message? What are some of the strategies you guys use? I guess more at the corporate level, but how do you keep engaging people with the Gray Line message? And
so we have our strategy is really great, because we're able to leverage the power of our network. So pretty much what we do is we have some targeted central messaging that we do. We have a big video program. We just did a whole 7-episode series called The Bucket Life, and we won a couple different awards with it, where I think somebody presented today on Maslow's hierarchy. We actually based The Bucket Life off some of those tenets, and we said, there's a lot of things we do in our life where we're just checking off lists. So what we suggest is there's a better way to do it and live your life so you're enriching yourself through experiences. rather than collecting things. So we went in depth to a bunch of our different markets, and then we go ahead and leverage that. We leverage that on social media. We leverage that through traditional media. We provide it to our licensees that leverage it through their own channels. So what we have the ability to do is create a central message, and without a huge central spend, distribute it to our licensees and leverage that network and their relationships worldwide.
And how does that like kind of bubble up from them to you? You know,
some of the best, and this is what I say all the time. I go, if you're looking to us in Denver to have the best ideas, then you're looking in the wrong place. What we do is we take the best ideas from our licensees around the world, take them, review them, analyze them, and if they're great, then what we do is we promote them throughout the network. And you see that all the time. Like, there may be a great idea coming out of Chicago, Illinois, that 2 weeks later is happening in the Galapagos because our guy there said, that's a fantastic idea. I need to integrate that here to make my experience better.
It's a fascinating model, you know.
It's worked really for 100 years. It's going to work for another 100 years.
Smart move. You know?
It is.
So you made me think. I like it. Appreciate that. We'll wrap it up. I hope the rest of the conference goes well.
Yeah, for you as well.
Are you here all day tomorrow?
I'm here all day.
You got a lot more to do. You got to press the flash. I like it. Well, thank you so much.
Perfect.
Appreciate
it. Thanks a lot.
Right back.